Well, Saturday I got liquidated in a trading account that I was using to trade cryptocurrency. And so I'm going to make this vlog to tell that story. Basically, I lost 88.54 Ether. By the way, Ethereum is the name of the blockchain and Ether is the name of the currency. So the short story is just that I made a leveraged trade which didn't go well and got liquidated. And if I hadn't gotten liquidated, I would have earned about, I'm reading some notes here I put there, I would have gained about 60 Ether. If I had set a lower price, which I was thinking about doing, it might have been 130 if I'd sold it Sunday night, or if I'd waited until today, it could have been plus 208 if I'd sold today. So adding that to the 88.5, that means my account could have been between 150 and 300 Ether today. But instead, I got liquidated, and my account doesn't have that $350,000 in it. It doesn't have that $700,000 in it, or even the original 88.54 Ether, which I started with at the beginning of the weekend, which would be worth about $212,000 right now. So instead, it has $27 in it. So yeah, that's quite a big loss. It's a bigger loss than my lifetime YouTube earnings, actually. So I'm not sure if I'm going to publish this. I guess if you're watching, it means I did publish it, or you're my future self, because that's who I'm making this for, my future self. So hello, future self. If you're not me, then maybe I guess I might have decided to publish this. Anyway, I like making a video because that helps me to organize my thoughts, and also just for historical records, so I can look back and figure out what happened. So first, I'm going to explain the details of what happened, again for future reference, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the sort of the spiritual perspective, or what I'm thinking about this and what I'm feeling about it. And I actually suspect that this will make zero sense to anyone without a particular sense, a set of beliefs like I have about the world, about God, about randomness and chance and circumstances and stuff like that. But let's start with the easy stuff first. What happened? So Thursday morning, I entered a limit order for a leveraged trade. Technically, it was an inverse perpetual trade on the Ethereum US dollar market. And entered into a leveraged long position, or a set limit order for one. But at the time, the price was around $24.50, and it had gone up to all-time highs above $2,500. So I set a limit order down for $24.05, which means that if the price did dip below $24.05, I would enter into a trade for about 415 Ether. So that's what I did Thursday morning. Then I left for a trip to Wyoming. Nothing happened. The trip went fine. Made it to Wyoming, and the price didn't change much. But the next morning, April 16th, Friday morning, like really early in the morning, I woke up and decided, I'm going to go check and see. Felt like I should check. And sure enough, the price was dropping, nearing my 24.05, and I decided, I'm going to cancel that and enter an even lower buy price, which would be even more profit. So I canceled that and then entered actually 3 orders for 21.33, 21.34, and 21.35, with about 3 times as much order volume. That seemed really unlikely, but I was hoping it would happen. It's like, well, I don't think the price will get that low, but you know what? I really want it to, so let's just see. So I put that order in, and I was hoping it would dip down that level and bounce back up again. I set a take profit of 26.38.95 on one of them. And then I decided I don't want to sit here and watch this and worry about it over the next few days, so I decided to wait until Sunday night. That was after my birthday party on Sunday night. I would take a look again, and so that's what I decided. And so, sure enough, nothing happened. Looking back in retrospect, I can see what happened. So nothing happened for the next 40 hours. I enjoyed my trip, flew back, came back, went to a small group meeting Saturday night. And so here's what happened Saturday night while I wasn't watching. The price went down. Sure enough, it went down to 21.35, 34, 33, and that activated those 3 trades. And then it activated the liquidation price way below that of 20.27 and 70 cents. And And then actually not much later, if you look on CoinMarketCap for that day, the price went as low as 2044, which is dangerously close to my liquidation price of 2027.70. Here's the chart. You can see 2044.87 was the minimum that day. So normally that'd be good news because it's like, oh, that's what you want. You want it to dip below your price and then bounce back up. Unfortunately, it wasn't that close on the trading platform I was using. In fact, it went below 2027.70 for 4 minutes during that time around 8:33 p.m. that night, Saturday night. Here's what it looks like. You see that number, that yellow number in the top left, that's the price that they were using. And so it was 2058, and then it did dip down to 2011, then 1991, then 2005, then 2022, and then back above my liquidation price of 2031. So for 4 minutes, it was actually below that price. You can see here, that line is my liquidation price. What that means is that I did get liquidated. So I got an email at that time. I didn't actually see that email until the next day, again, because I was just not, deciding not to pay attention to this and just not worry about it. So here's what the email says. Dear customer, your your contracts have been liquidated, and there's some details. Best regards. So what this means is that they urgently sold my trade, and they sold at 2027 to cover the margin, because I didn't quite have enough margin to be that low. And what that does is it zeroes out your entire account. So 4 minutes later, the price recovered, but it was already too late because it had dipped below my margin amount. So that's what happened. And it's easy to sit here and think about what if scenarios. What if I didn't get liquidated? If I had more margin in my account? I did have some more, but just not in that account. With that trading platform, then potentially it could have been up 60 Ether. Or what if I had decided to set a lower buy price? I actually had been thinking about setting it to 2033 instead of 2133. Then that I wouldn't have gotten liquidated at that price, I think. And if I'd sold it Sunday night, then I'd be plus 130. Or if I waited until today to sell it, after fees and stuff, it'd be about plus 208. Or if I had just done less margin, I've done 2 trades instead of 3. But here's the thing. It's impossible to know what would have happened. Maybe I would have panicked and sold at a loss anyway. Maybe the margin wouldn't have worked out. I don't know. It's kind of like the butterfly effect thing. It's impossible to know what would have happened if something had been different. So that's what happened. It's kind of a bummer. But here's the thing. I'm sort of seeing the spiritual side of this. So that's what I want to explain next. I want to explain from my perspective, from the spiritual point of view. And I'm just going to say a caveat here. If I decide to publish this and you're watching this, then I'm going to make some basic assumptions, which will explain how I look at this and what I'm feeling about this, in a sense. And this is going to make 0 sense if you don't share my assumptions. So here they are. They're big assumptions. Like, 1, God exists and that he can communicate with us. He talks to us. God knows all circumstances and all cause and effects, and he knows everything about my life. God is in the process of teaching me things. That's another assumption. And that God is good, God is kind, and God has good things in mind for me and for my life and for his kingdom. So with those assumptions, just a little bit of background. I feel like God has been teaching me lately to ask for more. Even in the process, here's some of my earlier trades. Even in the process of, let's see, there they are, the past few trades, I gained like 2 or 3 Ether, but if I had just waited on each of those previous 4 trades, if I had just waited and asked for more or looked for a bigger profit, I think even just a couple hours in every case, it would have bounced even higher. So I took those as lessons. I felt like, because even in all of this, I was seeking God's guidance in what to do. And I feel like the thing that he was saying in those circumstances is, hey, learn to trust, learn to ask for more. So that was what I had been learning the past few days before this. So yeah, asking for big things was a theme. And this was my birthday weekend, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to ask God for big things. I'm going to enter that. That's where the 2638.95 came from. I was like, I'm going to ask for a big profit on this trade. I asked for a specific amount. And my perspective is that I did not get those things. God said no, but he has something bigger and better for me. Not necessarily monetarily or anything like that. It could be something different. And I also think that all of these things are known to God. There's no coincidences. And sort of the way that everything came together, I see that it was just a very specific set of circumstances that made it such that I got liquidated. So if I had asked for more, the buy price would be lower and I wouldn't get liquidated. If I had asked for less and used less margin, I wouldn't have gotten liquidated. Even Saturday night when I was coming back from the airport, I was thinking, okay, I'll have some time before I go to the small group meeting, and I might look and see how things are going, and I might have changed something. But the train was under maintenance, so it took me like 45 minutes extra to, ride through Compton and Watts to take a bus to the train to get there. So I just went straight to that meeting and hung out there instead of. And I got there just barely in time. They sang "Happy Birthday" to me and everything. So I got there just barely in time, and I didn't have time to check or anything. The other thing is that it's strange that this liquidation price was only active for 4 minutes on that one trading platform, not in the other places. I know the CoinMarketCap takes an average, so that makes sense. But yeah, so I feel like I asked for something very specific, and I don't feel bad for asking for that amount. But I also feel like God's answer was no, not that, and that the answer is something bigger, something different, something better for me. Okay, so let me just pause here again to address those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about. It does sound foolish from the human perspective, and it is foolish from the human perspective. I don't recommend to anybody that you do what I did. So I get it. I'm a smart person, and of course, I think to myself, "Oh, why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I do that?" And the answer is that I felt, why didn't I put a stop loss in or monitor more closely? I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. I genuinely do feel that way. I know it sounds crazy. But that's why I did what I did. And thinking back, I actually genuinely feel like I don't have any regrets. I'm just surprised at how things happened, and the way things came out of that. So here's what I think I'm feeling like God is saying to me as a result of this. I feel like God's saying, just wait and see. And I'm like, what does that mean? God is good, God is kind. Yes, I still believe that. I feel like God's saying, wait and see and trust me. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means is going to happen from this. From my perspective, it seems like it would have been nice if I hadn't gotten liquidated, if I had made a bunch of money. But I asked for, a few days before that, I asked for a birthday present from God. And I feel like he said, what do you want? And I said, I could ask for a house, I could ask for something big. But then I ended up saying, you know what? I'll let you choose because I don't know what's best for me. So that's what I told God. I said, for my birthday, I don't know what I want. I'll let you choose. And I feel like God's saying this isn't over yet. He's teaching me to trust him some more. Okay, so what's in the future? Again, I recognize that sounds crazy. I'm just telling you what I believe and what I feel. So what's in the future, I don't know. That was actually the majority of my cryptocurrency holdings. Not all of it. And maybe I'll do nothing. Maybe, won't do anything more with that, just sort of wait. Or maybe I'll give the rest away. I don't want to give the rest away in a fit of anger and like, fine, then forget this, and like kind of like turning over the chessboard when you're not winning. I don't want to do that. But if I feel like I should give away some, then maybe I will. Or maybe I'll try to make it up by making some NFTs, non-fungible tokens. That might be it. Or maybe I'll reinvest what I have and try again. But here's the thing. I'm only going to do that if I specifically feel like I'm hearing from God. And for example, last week, I think it was a week ago, there was a day when I wanted to do a trade. I looked at the numbers and I thought, oh, it's going up. But I feel like God said, no, don't worry about it. I said, that's interesting. And so I said, okay, and just said, I'm not going to do anything. Sure enough, it went up. I could have made $5,000, $10,000. But I have no regrets about that, because I feel like if I had gone against what I felt like God was saying, if He said don't make a trade, and I did make $5,000 or $10,000, that would feel like God wasn't blessing it, and it'd still feel wrong somehow. So I'd rather obey and do the right thing, and that's what I did on Wednesday. And I feel like that's what I did over the weekend too. Okay, so how is this going to end? It could be that I may never know why this happened, and I'm actually genuinely okay with that. Now, you who are watching this, maybe, future me, you know exactly why this happened, and now it makes sense. But it could be that I never know. Also, there's this idea, like I mentioned before, the butterfly effect. Maybe this causes me to think and do other things, and that will be better in the long run for my life or for God's kingdom or something. And so I never know what the good and bad effects are, sort of trickle down through the rest of my life. But here's the thing. God does know. He genuinely knows all of those things. He knows all the complications, all the implications. The butterfly effect does not bother Him. And I actually do trust that God has good goals for me, for His kingdom, for the eternal perspective. Now, on the other hand, it might become clear if I figure it out in the next month or the next year or the next decade. Maybe I'll make another video and say, oh, now I see what was happening back in April of 2021. But for now, I'm content to wait and to trust. So, yeah. Now listen, it is a bummer to lose 88 Ether. And, if I watch this 10 years from now and Ethereum keeps going way up, it's going to sound like an amazing number. Or maybe it's worth 0, who knows. So, yeah. But I really, really do think it was best for the long run. I'll just have to wait and see. So, yeah, I have faith that's the perspective I'm taking. Actually, let me talk a little bit about what faith is. I'll tell you what faith is not. Faith is not what Mark Twain supposedly said. He said, faith is believing what you know ain't true. Now, as funny as that is, that's not what real faith is. First of all, you can't believe what you don't believe. You can't force yourself to believe something. You do or you don't. Evidence and reason and thinking about things, those can change your mind. Instead, I would say faith is something more like this. It's acting or living on what you believe to be true. So actually living it. I talk about this with my students sometimes. I give an example of a chair. Let's say there's I'm up in front of the classroom and I point to a chair over there and I say, now, what does it mean to have faith that if I sit down in that chair, it will hold me up? So I could sit there and look at the chair and I could analyze it intellectually and say, well, somebody else was sitting in that chair a few minutes ago and it held them up. I have no reason to believe that there would be a faulty chair. Here in the classroom. I mean, why would there be a chair that doesn't work? I could even use personal experience to say, I was sitting in that chair earlier today and it seemed fine. But so all the intellectual arguments, all the, experts coming and explaining why the chair is going to work, all that is fine and good, and it may help me believe that the chair will hold me. But faith is this. Faith is actually going over there and sitting down in the chair. That's how I can show that I have faith that the chair will hold me. So faith is living the way that you believe, and it can be hard to do, but if you believe it, then having faith is actually committing to it and living that way. Now, it's possible to have faith in wrong things, like through no fault of my own. It could be the case that there's a faulty chair there or a trick chair that some jokester put there that wouldn't hold me, and as much as I believe that it would hold me, it wouldn't really. So it's possible to have faith in the wrong things. But yeah, that's what faith is. Okay, so I've rambled long enough maybe, but maybe a couple things. So first of all, I know that God knows my circumstances. I believe that. I think it's true. I know that God has my ultimate good in mind, and I believe that. I think it's true. And so I'm going to have faith and live that way, acting on what I know to be true, and believing that that's, all of this is part of this, part of the bigger plan. Okay, once again, I want to address those of you to whom this makes no sense, who think I'm crazy. First of all, this video, the audience is myself, I guess. The audience is people who share my beliefs of ultimate reality that I mentioned before, that God exists and can speak to me and cares for me and all that type of stuff. That's the main audience. But if indeed I did decide to post this and some of you are watching this and you made it this far, I know this is a long rambly video, but if you made it this far and are curious to know why I think these things, maybe God himself, God Almighty, the creator of the universe, is actually calling to you to trust him. It could be that that's why you're watching the video. That's why you've made it this far. And if you want to know more about true faith and understanding the ultimate reason for the universe, then I can refer you to the Gospel of John. Just look it up online. You can read it online for free. That will introduce you to Jesus Christ, and you can find out information that way. Then I would say, go find some Christians to talk with. Find people in your area if you can, and they can tell you more about how this whole thing works. Or you can Google my phone number and call me. Now, it might be rude when I first answer if I think you're a scammer or a robocall telemarketer or something like that. But just tell me, no, I called you because of this video, and I'd be happy to explain this more. So, okay, well, the next vlog will be back to sort of the normal content. And by the way, I'm doing fine. I'm okay. Some of my friends are like concerned when I told them this, like, are you doing okay? And I'm like, yes, I genuinely am okay. I still have money for rent. I still have a full-time job. I still have my traditional retirement savings in a normal fund and all this type of stuff. So I'm doing okay. It is kind of a bummer, but I'm genuinely curious to see how this turns out in the long run, because I really do think that God arranged circumstances such that this specific thing would happen. I mean, just looking at all the different coincidences that happened to make it such that I would liquidate my account makes me wonder why. Makes me wonder what is going to be the case. And again, I'm jealous of those of you watching 5 years from now or whatever, or the future me who knows the answer. Maybe. Again, I said maybe, I'll never know. But yes, this is a big, interesting episode to my life. So, yeah. All right. I think that's it for now. But it's not like I'm going to say like and subscribe and, hey, that type of stuff. So I'll just end it by saying, thanks for watching. I know this is a long video, but to my future me, hang in there. We'll see how this turns out. All right, bye.